your trusted and relevant source for news, sports, traffic, and weather. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good morning. 10 o'clock, we have 72 degrees. It's going to be mostly sunny today, a little bit warmer inland, high 76 lakeside, up to 81 inland. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Decision, Wisconsin, another candidate has entered the governor's race.
I'm Kelda Royce, and for 25 years, I've been fighting for Wisconsin alongside you and delivering.
Kelda Royce previously ran for governor in 2018, finishing third in the Democratic primary. She's now the fourth Democrat to enter the race following Governor Tony Evers' decision to not seek a third term.
Now, with everything on the line, Wisconsin needs a governor who's been training for this moment her whole career and who knows how to deliver.
There are currently 2 Republicans who have announced campaigns, while others in both parties are still considering a run. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
Elkhorn Schools tightening security after a viral social media firestorm. Superintendent Jason Tadlock says hundreds of threatening messages poured in after a Facebook post falsely connected an administrator to a comment about Charlie Kirk's death. Tadlock tells WTMJ safety remains a top priority.
We're going to continue school as scheduled, which we have pretty secure procedures within our school district, but we are going to have an increased law enforcement presence at all of our school sites in partnership with the Sheriff's Department and the Elkhorn City PD. So they're providing great support.
District says no threats were made against schools or students, but all messages to staff have been referred to law enforcement. Elsewhere, several Wisconsin workers facing backlash over social media posts about Kirk's death. In Milwaukee, Nextdoor Childcare fired an employee who criticized Kirk's pro-gun views online. In Wausau, nonprofit leader Callie Wolk lost her position after posting well-deserved with clapping emojis. A Laconia high school teacher on leave for calling Kirk a racist and white nationalist. And in Cudahy, the school district is investigating an employee over a social media post made outside of school hours. Kirk's alleged killer reportedly refusing to cooperate with authorities. Utah Governor Spencer Cox says it's becoming clear 22-year-old Tyler Robinson is deeply indoctrinated with leftist ideology. Robinson expected to be arraigned on state murder charges tomorrow. Meanwhile, a public memorial service for the slain conservative activist scheduled to take place next weekend at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Federal Reserve expected to cut interest rates when it holds its September meeting this week. The jobs market slowing down. Cutting rates has been one tactic used by the Fed to jumpstart hiring. Here's ABC's Rebecca Jarvis.
The Fed is widely expected to cut interest rates by 0.25%, meaning it gets a little bit cheaper to borrow money. Think lower credit card APRs, less expensive car loans. This can also impact mortgage rates, which have been moving lower in anticipation. The average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage hit its lowest level since 2024 earlier this month.
Many analysts forecasting an additional 2 rate cuts before the end of the year. President Trump appears to be moving forward with plans to send troops into another American city. Here's ABC's Mary Bruce.
The president is once again escalating his use of the military on U.S. soil. This time, though, he's targeting a Republican state, announcing he's going to be sending in the National Guard to Memphis, saying only he can save the city from crime. The Republican governor is welcoming this deployment, but the Democratic mayor of the city says he doesn't need this, doesn't want it, doesn't think it will bring down crime there.
Of course, National Guard already in Washington, D.C., and Trump has talked about sending troops to Chicago. It's the last week for the River West Co-op and Cafe.
The local grocery store and community hub will officially close on Sunday. Despite donations and loans, the co-op couldn't overcome financial challenges from the COVID-19 pandemic and growing competition from other natural food stores. The board of directors decided at a meeting last week that they would shut down the business instead of filing for bankruptcy, and no one had offered to buy the business. The co-op has been owned by members and run by volunteers for 24 years. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow is up 81 points, NASDAQ up 176. S&P 500 is up 34 points. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:04.
Back to school means back to savings with Exterior Pros and Baths. Right now, get $3,000 off your roofing, your siding, your windows, or your bath project during the fall savings event. Don't wait. Call 262-800-4274 or visit extpros.com to claim your $3,000 savings and book your free estimate. Exterior Pros and Baths, Wisconsin's trusted home improvement experts. Trust the pros.
At Boucher, we don't just sell cars, we build careers.
For over 45 years, Boucher has been Wisconsin's trusted name in automotive excellence, and today we're growing faster than ever.
Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting out, Boucher is hiring across all departments: sales, service, finance, and more.
Enjoy industry-leading pay, unbeatable benefits, paid training, and a workplace that truly values you. Join the Boucher family, where we ride with you every mile, and your future rides with us. Apply today at Boucher.com.
Are you frustrated with those trendy weight loss shots? Whether you've hit a plateau, can't handle the side effects, or watch the pounds creep back after stopping, there's a better way. The Milwaukee Weight Loss Program has helped thousands of people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in just 8 weeks without expensive injections or uncomfortable side effects. Our doctor-developed program costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast. Ready for real lasting results? Our caring team at Milwaukee Weight Loss is ready to help you achieve your weight loss goals. Visit MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com now to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi. I dropped 40 pounds with Milwaukee Weight Loss. No crazy workouts, no meal kits or shakes, and definitely no meds or injections. They helped reset my metabolism, and the weight's actually stayed off. It's been a game changer for me. Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month or two. Schedule your free consultation today by calling 262-393-2334. or online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Playoff-bound Brewers lost the final game of their home series. Milwaukee fell 3-2 to the St. Louis Cardinals. Brewers have the night off before hosting the Los Angeles Angels on Tuesday. Wisconsin football team lost for the first time this season, falling 38-14 to the Alabama Crimson Tide on the road. Badgers will be back home Saturday to host Maryland to open Big Ten play. Badger Sports Update sponsored by Siding Unlimited, siding and a whole lot more. Take a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. There was a crash. It was off on the right shoulder, I-43 north at Holt Avenue. Looks like that has been cleared off. Disabled vehicle also off right, I-41 north just beyond Highway 20. Here's the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny, warmer today, high 76 to 81 inland. Mostly clear tonight with an overnight low of 63. Sunny tomorrow, 77, lakeside 83 inland. Sunshine on Wednesday, high of 78. Sunny Thursday, 77. And partly cloudy Friday with a high of 72. 73 in Madison and Green Bay, 72 degrees in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristen Bry.
And good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Certainly a football happy Monday because the teams that we need to lose lost. Except for the Lions. Someone had to win that game, right? Right, Matt Smith, political director of Channel 12.
Warm welcome.
And Kristen will be back tomorrow for anyone wondering where she's finishing her vacation time. It was probably one of the most, I'm trying to figure the right words to use about what happened last week. Disruptive, agitating, irritating, violent weeks in our country in a long time, based on not just what happened, the way it happened, the assassination of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University, and then what happens after. And so much of the conversation is based on social media response, comments of the people that in and around that investigation. I'm going to be playing later on in the show the comments of the Utah Governor Spencer Cox. But you had a chance to sit down with former Governor Scott Walker on Up Front, which, if for the folks who have not heard me say this before, is one of the best shows on politics in the state of Wisconsin that you're going to find. So, and it's available all over the state. First, what was his sort of tone or tenor in the aftermath of this? Because you talked to him shortly after.
It was incredibly somber, and I think for several reasons. He knew Charlie Kirk very well personally and professionally. Walker is now head of Young America's Foundation, so they host the Charlie Kirks of the world. They go to college campuses and host sometimes controversial speakers, and he worked closely with Charlie Kirk. I know the Walker boys, his sons, are very close with him as well in terms of mobilizing and energizing young voters, young conservative voters. They all worked together a lot. So personally, he knew him. And professionally, there's a lot here, right? He's a former governor of the state. He understands the political rhetoric. And we kind of asked him just to kind of take a step back for a second. Because as you mentioned, I mean, social media was flooded within seconds of this. And it's ongoing as we sit here this morning, right?
Many not productive and many just fueling the massive hate regimen in this country where people just have to blow each other up. Here, let's hear from the former governor, Scott Walker.
Is there any going back to where we are today?
Oh, there has to be. I mean, there has to be. I mean, this is one of those where not only elected officials, people that lead organizations, business leaders, religious leaders, education leaders, all of us bear responsibility for this. And we've got to step up and say, we got to do better. We can have a dialogue. We can have a debate. We can't go the opposite extreme. We can't use this as an excuse to shut down voices. That's not what America's about.
And I love the words he's choosing to use, the we part of that, and the fact that we have to be better. And I agree with that. And I'm glad the governor said that. I complimented the governor of Utah earlier in the show, and I'll play some of his comments later. The rhetoric in this country around politics, I've been around a lot longer than you have. And while I remember vaguely the 60s, because I was about 10 years old or so, 10 to 12, I don't have the adult sort of perspective on it that I do now. And to me, having lived through this story now since middle of last week to now, the explosive danger that's here. And I just, as I look at this, I can't wrap my head around the fact that that's the responsible way to talk about it. Mm-hmm. But then there's many other people, and often not leaders, guys and girls on social media, which has sort of taken over the world in a lot of negative ways. I know some people like them. I'm liking it less and less every day. And fueling this rise of hate speech. And again, everyone has a right to say until you threaten violence, whatever you want. But this doesn't seem a positive to me. So I'm encouraged by the fact that the governor is talking about this.
Yeah. And at the same time saying, listen, we need to continue this dialogue. We need to continue having events. We need to continue even hearing from people we disagree on, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, right? We need to engage in this dialogue and do it respectfully. Yeah, we can disagree. That's what this country was founded on. But at the same time, what do we do with social media? You just mentioned, I mean, the Utah governor, you're going to play later, talked about, put your phones down and go outside, right?
That's what I did this weekend. Yeah. And obviously I focused on a violent sport, football, but it was the sort of calming thing I need. I know that sounds like an oxymoron or whatever, but it's like what I needed to get away. And to not read comment after comment attacking everyone from me, my co-host, our station, our city, our takes on politics. It's just not productive. The other piece of this, and we got another clip from the governor's appearance on Up Front on Channel 12, has to do with the sort of the acknowledged understanding, and I've said this for years, with Mike Goucher when he hosted the show, that the short-term reaction is always going to be increased security. The governor spoke to that.
There have been some people suggesting that our group and others like us should stop doing speeches on campus, and we will not do that. We're not going to back down. That would mean this assassin would win.
I'm assuming you're looking at increased security for potential events, as you just referenced.
Yeah, we'll do, we'd already been talking with Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and others at the Daily Wire about enhanced security. We typically do not do events outdoors. We do them in auditoriums. We may even eventually have to have metal detectors or other things like that.
That's always the short-term answer. Yeah. It's a smart answer because you want people to be safe and secure, not just the individuals. And I'll say it loudly again. What happened to Charlie Kirk was horrific, and it should not have happened. And that is something that is becoming far too common in our country and our culture. And it is still, although there's violence in the rest of the world, the way we do it here is sort of a unique approach to not getting along, and we often take the most violent measures to react. And in this case, it played out all over social media because the video was. I'm proud of myself. I didn't go and watch the video. I don't need to see it. Yeah. I don't want that memory, etched in my brain and my gray matter that I have to see that constantly playing out on a loop. But a lot of people did. And I've had someone reach out to me over the weekend and said, maybe that's a good thing. And I'm not asking your opinion on this, but maybe that's a good thing that we confront as a society the evil as it plays out in the form of political violence? It's an interesting question. I mean, you're a journalist who's on TV. You're not playing the video.
Correct.
That part of it.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's the smart call.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, yes, in terms of playing it out, absolutely not. But I think a lot of people maybe were even caught by surprise. I was caught by surprise in just the initial scrolling on social media.
Yeah.
You didn't know what you were clicking on.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there it is, video after video after video, which just inundates feeds, which is the new reality we live in, that everything is instant and it's uploaded to the internet wherever you are.
Real quick, because we got to get to break.
Yeah.
And I didn't prepare you for this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Social media, how is that impacting what you do? That sort of this instantaneous, they got to have the answer right now. They got to react to it. How is that changing what you do?
Yeah, I mean, there's a push from our perspective to be everywhere constantly all the time, too,
but you also
right?
got to get it right.
Yes. So there is the balance, right? You want to be first, but before that, you want to be right and accurate. That's what we go by at our station is make sure you are right. There obviously is the competition, but there is the pressure on social media to get everything uploaded everywhere all the time and to be everywhere all the time.
Personally, have you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Have you taken a step back from social media personally, not professionally?
Yeah, I've tried to, right? Yes. I think you can easily get inundated with the doom scrolling and just get engaged, not me engaged, but just watch the engagement of these conversations back and forth.
I'm going to spend...
I got outside this weekend.
That's good. And it was a nice weekend to get outside. I'm going to speak a lot more about this throughout the program today, especially in the last half hour. It's just me. I got some great guests today. Stephen Olacar is going to join us at 10:35. He has appeared with Charlie Kirk on occasion. Interested in his perspective. They disagree completely on a lot of things, as a lot of people did. But the way this story has turned certainly changes the way I think we approach our future, including social media. So we'll get to that later. We'll take a break here. Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12, host of Upfront, along with Jared and Jordan on Channel 12. We'll get to the governor's race. Another person getting in early this morning, right?
This morning.
Kelda Royce was on the show last week. I asked her the question. She wouldn't answer.
Here we are.
I kind of knew where we were going. So we're going to talk. He talked with Josh Shulman, candidate for the Republican nomination, and David Crowley. We'll get to that next right here on 620 WTMJ.
All types of injury lawyers advertise. Cartoon lawyers, bobblehead lawyers, and folks chasing ambulances with text messages. Our clients don't want or need such lawyers. Our clients know, like, and trust that Pasternak and Zergabel will help in their time of need. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak and Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are excellent personal injury lawyers in our community. If you need help after an injury, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com. That's injurywisconsin.com.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day. It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
The leader in the dugout, the skipper, the man who riles up the crew with his words of inspiration.
You mean my old ass? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, that's our guy. Brewers manager Pat Murphy joins Wisconsin's Morning News every Tuesday at 8:45 for Brewers 360.
We're a team that the other team's going to feel us. You know, you're not going to walk away from a series and not be felt. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Brewers 360 is sponsored by Outdoor Living Unlimited and Big Fish Contracting.
Thanks for joining us on this Monday. There's a lot of people's minds, and we'll try to unpack a lot of that on the program today and throughout the day here on 620 WTMJ. It's point taken. Kristen will be back tomorrow from some time off. The governor's race. I spent some time with Joe Zepecki on Friday talking about this. Another candidate in today. I talked to her on the program last week. Kelda Royce is on the Democratic side. You had a chance to sit down with, I think, two of the major players in this race, one on each side.
Yeah.
Josh Schoeman, Washington County executive, was on the program. I have said openly and honestly, I think Josh is a great candidate. I've had him on my program for years.
Yep.
Well-read, doing the job, as is David Crowley, who will be our next little discussion, and has shown a willingness to work across the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
You talked to Josh Schoeman. I don't know if our previous subject came up, but really this race is sort of, I think, focused on two county executives at this moment, in my opinion. They may not be the front-running candidates, but I think there's really a lot of power in both of these candidates doing the job live in their counties, Washington County, adjacent to Milwaukee County, the biggest county in the state, and demonstrating a willingness to work with the other side. You sat down with Josh. What were his comments this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of his main takeaways, he's trying to sell exactly what you said in terms of you look at a Tommy Thompson or a Scott Walker, and he's going to message and tell everyone that he is going to out-hustle everyone, and he is the candidate for this moment because of that. And he mentioned working across the aisle. He specifically said, listen, Greta Neubauer, the Democratic leader in the Assembly, she's going to be at my table. She's going to be meeting with me personally as I'm governor, talking as if he won, but really trying to paint the picture, at least on the campaign trail, that he's going to bring everyone in to his table, the leaders among Democrats and Republicans. So that's where he is a year out.
And he also talked, and we're going to play this clip,
about the primary.
Yeah, about the primary and who might enter the primary in sort of an interesting way.
Republicans statewide have had some challenges if your name isn't Donald Trump or Ron Johnson winning statewide on the ballot recently. What makes you the guy to potentially do that?
Well, in the last 10, 12 years, right, that has been the case. But again, if you look at Wisconsin state history, young, energetic, folks who are willing to work their tail off. We've tried millionaires. We've tried congressmen. No congressman has won the race for governor in Wisconsin since 1930. The millionaire thing hasn't worked for us lately. Let's go with what works.
That's right on point, because what do we hear? Oh, this person, not that he's going to enter this race, Tim Michaels, or the other guy who came in and ran. And then, of course, the congressman not named is Tom Tiffany.
Yeah.
I think that's a smart play.
Yeah, I mean, so directly, without saying their names, going after Bill Berrien, who's in the race, the businessman from Whitefish Bay, and Congressman Tiffany, who is widely expected to get in the race. We've heard Congressman Tiffany, Tom, talk about this, end of the month is going to be his decision and kind of going back and forth. But he's laying his stake, right? Because on both sides of this race, this is going to be a large field. And who knows, primaries can get nasty. Whether they do or not, time will tell. But I think everyone is starting to put their marker down in terms of what their lane may be.
I would say this about Josh Schoeman, Washington County executive. He can be firm, but he's not nasty. He's also probably, if not the smartest person in this race so far. All right, David Crowley, other side of the aisle, Democrat from Milwaukee. Had him on the show 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was last week. So many guests.
Time flies.
Yeah. He is somebody who is also doing all the same things I'm talking about. He's respected. He worked across the aisle. He's leading a county. He was on your show this week. Let's play the clip, then we'll comment on it.
Is this going to turn into a race of who is the most liberal on the left?
I think this is really about giving voters an option. I think the primary elections is good for our democracy. And so having as many candidates as possible gives voters the opportunity to see the different candidates and different perspectives.
How do you sell yourself in the primary? Are you the most progressive? Are you the most liberal? Is that something you would like to embrace?
Well, I'm the only candidate in this race that has both experience serving in the legislature as well as actually running a government.
What I like about that is, and I'm not a Democrat, but I like the fact that he's saying what's actually true. He has that experience. He's leading the largest county in the state. He's somebody who demonstrates, again, I say this over and over again, the ability to compromise and to work with others who don't agree with you. This is, and I know I'm framing this, but I'm framing it for a specific reason, because I think these are the two candidates that speak out the most for what I think is a calming of this political tension in this country. May not happen, maybe a fool's folly, but I think these two candidates are demonstrating every day they're actually working elected officials who are not going to play that game and put us even further into sort of the dead of violence and political hatred.
Yeah, and the question is, what will primary voters in the state want?
Yeah.
Republican and Democrat,
Ultimately,
right?
we decide.
Yeah.
Maybe, I could be completely wrong in this. Maybe we want a state where we're constantly bickering and hopefully not battering each other over their policy. And I think that they're correctly assessing that. That's why I think these are probably the two. I'm not going to say it. I just think they're two great candidates on each side. Matt Smith will wrap it up with Matt, see what he's going to be looking at in the week ahead, right here on Point Taken on 620 WTMJ. You have never been to an all-inclusive resort? Well, neither have I. Hi, it's WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi, and this winter, we're going to rectify that. My wife, Kathy, and I have teamed up with Fox World Travel to check another travel wish item off our list, and you are invited to join us. We'll be flying nonstop from Milwaukee to sunny Cancun and staying at the ultra-chic luxury resort Secrets the Vine. This adults-only all-inclusive resort offers unlimited luxury where so much is included. Best-in-class service, gourmet a la carte restaurants, top-shelf drinks, 24-hour room and concierge service, endless day and nighttime activities, and more. Come with us, soak up the sun on the beach or one of 3 sparkling infinity pools, enjoy sommelier-led wine tasting, or explore the Cancun area. You know my trips sell out fast, so if you want more information about the February festivities, contact a travel advisor at Fox by calling 866-GO-FOX-GO or their fabulous website, foxworldtravel.com.
You're not just a job number as a Sidex customer. They've been family-owned since 1988, and they treat you as part of their family. Upgrade and transform your current bathroom space with Sidex Windows Siding and Bath. They have seasoned design consultants with 10 to 30 years of experience. The owner, Joe, is honoring his dad's legacy with top-tier products and expert craftsmanship. It's Sidex, the best in the business. Get a free shower door upgrade when you mention WTMJ. Visit sidexremodel.com.
A cancer diagnosis shouldn't mean we can't make plans. It shouldn't mean living without joy or optimism. Cancer shouldn't be calling the shots. At the Frederick and the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Network, we're pushing to put cancer in its place by pulling together teams of leading specialists and researchers who work tirelessly for breakthroughs, who are developing innovative ways to treat every cancer, to treat your cancer. And by providing the largest cancer clinical trials treatment program in Wisconsin. So there are more treatment options and more reasons to be hopeful. So let's keep innovating. Let's keep discovering. Let's push to make every cancer diagnosis a story of survivorship and bring back the lightness of life that cancer takes away. To learn more about breakthrough cancer care, visit frederick.com/cancer.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Couple of minutes remaining with Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12 in Milwaukee, host of Upfront along with Jared and Jordan. This week, obviously a lot of moving pieces, especially in the wake of last week. What you think you'll be covering this week as a journalist?
Yeah, I mean, continuing watching, obviously, the fallout and the reaction to Charlie Kirk. There's memorials planned, both in Washington, here around the area, the funeral this upcoming weekend that the president has said he'll attend. And then I think politically, we look to the race for governor. I think we're going to see more candidates come in. I think in these next couple weeks, we're going to have somewhat of a solid idea now of who's in this race, right? Maybe there's a surprise down the road, but I think by the end of the month, in the next couple days and weeks, we're going to start to see how this really molds and where everyone is, what their lanes are, how many Democrats are in, how many Republicans are in. So I think that's going to be kind of fascinating to watch as all of that plays out.
Yeah, other than a couple other names that were mentioned, I don't know there's going to be any big surprises. I mean, if the Tom Tiffany announcement, if he decides to enter, would be one. But I've seen some of his public comments. He's very focused on the looming fiscal cliff, or the continuing resolution if they go that route, and what Congress does with spending in the budget. That will take up a lot of his time.
Yeah.
which could impact any potential campaign for governor.
Announcement. Yeah, exactly. And I think another big question centers around Attorney General Josh Kaul. Will he get in? Won't he get in? He's been, I was going to say relatively, he's been largely quiet.
The most quiet.
Yeah, since the governor announced that he won't seek re-election. So there's a lot of speculation about, will he get in? He hasn't said officially one way or another. And I think a lot of Democrats are watching to see if he will get in yet, and a lot of Democratic donors, right? Republican donors, Democratic donors, they're still on the sidelines to see how this all shakes out. And it'll be fascinating to see if they start pouring their money in during the primary season or if they wait until after.
Yeah, that's a fascinating question. Yeah, where does the money go? Who gets it? All right, Matt Smith, always appreciate your appearances.
Absolutely.
We'll do it again next week. Coming up after the break, Stephen Olakar will join us. He has been on stage with Charlie Kirk, who was killed last week. We'll ask him about that. Local news updates, but before we get to any of that, here's now the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is leaving Israel now for Qatar, site of that Israeli attack on Hamas members in Doha. The U.S. is trying to ease tensions between Israel and Qatar, both close American allies. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says a deal has been reached to avoid a ban on TikTok. Details to be let go later this week. House Speaker Mike Johnson will lead a memorial service for Charlie Kirk tonight inside the U.S. Capitol. As Utah Governor Spencer Cox says, detectives are still piecing together information about the suspect in Kirk's killing, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, who's said to not be cooperating with police.
Investigators also confirming they've now interviewed Robinson's roommate, with whom they say he was romantically involved. Officials say Robinson had no military experience, but was proficient with a firearm. Multiple social media posts by his family show him posing with guns.
That's ABC's Morgan Norwood. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 10:31. I'm Connie Weber. A 39-year-old man from Milwaukee died from his injuries after being shot last week. Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office says James Jordan III was shot in the head late Friday night, died several hours later at Frederick Hospital. Shooting happened near the intersection of Good Hope Road and North Teutonia Avenue on Milwaukee's north side. The investigation is ongoing. One person killed, another severely hurt after a crash in Winnebago County. Happened around 10:40 Sunday morning near County Trunk Highway Z and Country Club Road in the township of Black Wolf. The driver of one of the vehicles killed, a passenger flown to the hospital. The other driver suffered minor injuries. Not clear what caused that crash. Milwaukee area saw a slight drop in home sales last month. According to the Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors, there were just over 1,600 homes sold in August, down 0.3% compared to last year. Home prices increased almost 6% as the average home sold for $448,000. Home listings down about 5% across Milwaukee, Waukesha, Ozaukee, and Washington counties. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is down 17 points, 45,817. NASDAQ up 177 at 22,318. S&P 500 up 27 at 6,611. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. I-94 West at County Road F in Waukesha County, left shoulder there blocked due to a disabled vehicle. I-94 West at 84th Street again, a broken down vehicle. It's going to be off left. And 43 North, about a quarter of a mile beyond the ramp from 6th Mineral, the right shoulder there blocked due to a disabled vehicle. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny, warmer inland, high 76, lakeside 81, inland clear and 63 overnight. Sunny tomorrow, high 77 to 83. Sunshine Wednesday and Thursday with highs both days in the upper 70s. Then partly cloudy Friday, high 72. Madison 73, Green Bay 73, and 72 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 1033.
The power of friendship has spawned a memorable baseball season in Milwaukee. When you choose to work with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, the relationship is more than what feels like having a friend. Pella honors trust and commitment on your behalf, before, during, and after the sale. And with this month's incredible deal, Gina Della from Pella is here to share why you shouldn't wait to order new windows and doors.
Order today and get 0% interest for up to 60 months. Set your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Ends 9/30/2025.
For over 40 years, the Boucher Automotive Group is proud to have served Wisconsin with dedication and heart, one customer at a time. But we knew we could do even more.
In the last 5 years, we've expanded across the state, adding new locations, new brands, and new ways to better serve you.
At Boucher, growth isn't always about being bigger. It's about being better. Better selection, better service, better experiences.
Where you're going matters, and Boucher is driven to get you there. The Boucher Automotive Group. We ride with you every mile.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems will subside. And we have the most simple and convenient, ultra-effective in-office solutions that can do just that. And this is why people have traveled by planes, trains, and automobiles from corners of the world you would never think of to find the sleep apnea and snoring relief you won't find elsewhere.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
Continuing the conversation on this Monday, a lot of the show, other than the next half hour, 11 to 11:20, will be focused on the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk last week in Utah. And although he was on the show recently, Stephen Olacara, who joins us on the hotline. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Stephen is one of the most keenest observers of American politics and culture and country, for that matter. And you actually knew Charlie Kirk. So I wanted to bring you on just to sort of get, your reaction, but two, sort of fill in some of the missing pieces for those of us who didn't know Charlie Kirk. So I guess we'll go first with when you heard the news last week and how it impacted you.
Well, I heard the news through some mutual friends I had with Charlie, and it was immediately just so horrific to hear about it, because I knew Charlie, as you mentioned, not like we were close friends, but we shared many debate stages, spoke on a number of panels, and, just the time you spend in the green rooms together, you get to know a person a bit. And I also thought about the kind of impact it'll have on our American political discourse, because it's essential that we have a norm in our country of debate and dialogue without the threat of violence. If you feel like your life is threatened, you really have your freedom taken away from you. So it's extremely tragic for our country. And, just thought honestly about the human side of this too. He's obviously a father and a husband. And, it's been shocking to hear some people try and potentially justify this violence. There's no place for violence like that in our country.
What's the Charlie Kirk, green room or otherwise, you've been on panels with him, as you said, that we don't know about?
Well, he's first extremely sharp, and my most enduring memory of him behind the scenes in green rooms was just his interest in mixing it up with people regardless of ideology. And that's something that I enjoyed with him too. Like I always preface that obviously our politics were different, and even our styles were quite different in these debates and panels as well. But one thing we did share was a love of debate, a love of a talk to anyone style of politics. I think, Steve, you probably saw that in our U.S. Senate campaign in Wisconsin, where we truly talked with everyone and built out a coalition, even though we weren't necessarily incentivized to do so in terms of bringing people together across party lines. And so he would mix it up with everyone. I think about his conversations with the left-wing media outlet, the Young Turks, and he just really enjoyed the spirit and art of debate and argument. And, that's something we need more of in our country.
Stephen Olacara joining us on Point Taken on 630 WTMJ. You're a deep thinker. You look at these things in a way that maybe a lot of us don't. And I always try to find something from the most horrific, most obscene, most horrible events that happen in this country, and try to glean something that we can look at and say, okay, we can improve, we can get better. Is there any of that here that we could cultivate that would maybe make sense to a listener or someone who's trying to figure out what to do next?
Well, I think we are having a moment of reflection right now. I think I've seen more reflections in the mainstream media conversation in the last few days about the state of polarization in our country, what we can do about it as individuals, as citizens of this country, than I have seen in a number of years. And so I think this is prompting a real conversation that I've been trying to have in our country, as you know, Steve, for many years. But how do we disagree without violence? How do we learn from people who are different than us? And I believe the most powerful weapon we have for the political divide right now is humanizing people who are different than us. And as you referenced with these green room conversations I had with Charlie, I did get to know him as a person, and I think it improved the quality of the debates that we had together. I think most people who are viewing Charlie Kirk, especially if you're in the center or the left, is that your social media algorithm has fed you, really shot you up with the most vitriolic clips that are out there, including one that involves me. There's an infamous clip of Charlie Kirk jumping out of his seat and getting into it with a member of the audience during one of our debates, and you see me sitting right next to him. It's been seen by millions of people. You know, I think it's important to get the full human take of a person, and that's what we need more of.
What do you say to people who say, okay, it's horrific that someone was assassinated in this fashion, playing out over social media and all of that, but they didn't agree with anything he said, and they saw many of his words and comments as being fueled by hate or whatever, whatever they took from what he said. What do you say to those people?
Well, I think it's completely okay to not only disagree with him, but passionately disagree with him, just like I did. But at the same time, I think that the idea of not engaging in the conversation at all, not talking to people who disagree with, I've had people who tell me that, like, how can you even be on the same stage with him? I mean, he platformed me, not the other way around. We should be very clear about that. And so I just think that we need to engage in conversation. We need to talk to people who are different than us. And we need to revive the art of constructive disagreement in our country. We've been seeing the Utah governor, Spencer Cox, a lot in the news recently. His campaign as part of the chair of the National Governors Association was called Disagree Better. That's how I got to know Governor Cox. That's what we need. We can disagree better, and it's completely okay to disagree with his politics.
Yeah, we're going to play some of his comments over the weekend on Meet the Press a little bit later in the show. Stephen Olakara, our guest. After the break, what comes next? What can we do? That's a common question I get a lot. And we'll talk about the role of social media. You alluded to that a little bit in our first few minutes. We'll take a break here on Point Taken, 620 WTMJ.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
You know when that big online store has special days with ridiculously low prices?
Yeah.
Why doesn't Hasselus Mattress do that?
We do.
You do? When?
Every day.
Okay, good one. But really, when are the big discounts?
Like I said, every day. You know our showrooms are employee-free.
So I can give your mattresses a try.
With no pushy sales guy.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that allows us to sell Sealy Posturepedic, Beautyrest, and more for way less.
Give me numbers.
Our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next-day delivery, too.
And you do this every day?
Yeah. Plus, through Monday, get a free box spring with every Sealy Posturepedic, Beautyrest, and more, or take an equal amount off an adjustable base.
Wow.
So I guess you could say now is a prime time to buy.
I see what you did there.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasselus.com.
Vince Vitrano here for Connect Chiropractic. Get your aches and pains under control and bring back your energy. Whether it's headaches, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, time and repetition is key to staying on the right track. I've been seeing Dr. Alex and his team for 2 years now. No twisting, no cracking, no popping. Connect Chiropractic uses a special tool that is targeted and effective, yet pain-free and gentle. In Delafield and Wauwatosa, and the new location on Rawson Avenue in Oak Creek. Get started at GoConnectChiro.com.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day.
It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Oh boy, it's getting so expensive to dine out, but not at the Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The Mind Chef is family owned, understands inflation hurts. Every Monday when you buy one pizza, you get a second pizza absolutely free. Any size, any quantity. You buy one, get one free. Buy two, get two free. Buy 10 pizzas, get 10 free pizzas. Business owners, managers, bring in pizza for your hardworking employees and your key clients. They're going to love it because it's delicious pizza and your second pizza's free, saving your company a ton of money. Bring your family in today for free pizza. Your kids will love that world-class game room. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford and near EAA in Oshkosh, just off the interstate. Lots of seating, lots of close parking. No need to cook. Don't think about cleaning today. Mondays can be tough enough. Buy one pizza, get one free at the Mine Shaft. Plenty to take home for tomorrow. Desserts, and I love their desserts, are also buy one, get one free. Just walk in today for your free Monday pizza, mineshaft.restaurant.com.
Goodyear, Dunlop, Kelly, Continental, General, you name it, we got it.
Plus, free flat tire repair, free tire rotations, and more.
So when you're due for tire service, schedule it at richlawns.com.
That's Rich Lawns with 2 N's.
Rich Lawns.
Continuing our conversation with Stephen Olacara, businessman, change maker, great public speaker. He's someone who has a lot to say about the politics and culture and just our country in general. I guess for me, let's sort of focus on where we go next. I'm going to spend the last half hour talking about this, but the impact of social media on this story. Spencer Cox, as you alluded to before, has spoken on this. It is dangerous. It is hate-filled and fueling, I think, a lot of this. But yet we are probably not going to see, Stephen, any real change in the administration of these platforms. Certainly the monetization of bad content, my opinion, my word.
Right.
So that part's not going to change. So if someone's looking for something to change, what would you suggest, or where will you suggest we will see that change happen to the positive in the weeks and months ahead?
Well, I think we can change ourselves. We can change how we engage with these products, and we can change how we each act and react to situations in politics. And I think that's why I'm on a mission right now, just to raise awareness of how our division industrial complex works, and for people to be aware of what in our field we call the perception gap, which is the idea that we perceive people on the other political side to be 30 to 40% more extreme than they actually are. And there's a mantra we have that it's hard to hate up close, and you're going to find unconventional areas often of common ground if you're willing to engage in the conversation. And so I think first step is to be aware of how the division system works, how the social media algorithms work, and to really view it in the same lens as you might say alcohol or cigarettes. These are products in our society that we don't ban, but the public is generally aware of the consequences it has on your health. And in some ways, we disincentivize people culturally and in other ways from using those products. And I think that same principle should apply to political division and some of the hate that's spewed through our discourse and then on social media.
Why do you think the use of algorithms to sort of drive this hate and negativity is a positive for these platforms? Like, why would that be the way they want to sort of increase their revenue, their bottom lines? We're talking about mainly men, the Zuckerbergs and the Musks and others who live in these worlds and own these companies. TikTok could be a Ralph Ellison company at some point, or at least majority owner in that platform pretty soon, according to what's being reported. What role do they play? Because they have sort of let everything go to the wild. Just do whatever you want. And I don't think that's helpful or constructive.
Yeah. Well, I heard Scott Galloway say the other day that, we sort of came up in a time in, say, the 90s of a kind of mantra in media that said that sex sells. And it turns out the social media companies found something else, rage. Rage sells even more than sex, apparently. And I think that's actually a pretty astute point, because I don't think these social media companies, and I've met some of the key people involved with them, are inherently evil or they're trying to destroy society. But I do think they just sort of let it run wild, unfettered, and it found some of the most destructive and addictive parts of human psychology, and rage is a big part of that. And so you see, I think, a perfect storm coming together where you have the social media platforms where they found this huge profit ability through rage and anger and hate. And then you have on top of that the rise of money in politics that has exploded, particularly over the last 15 years. And similarly, you know, Steve, just as well as I do, that there's such an incentive for politicians and parties to raise unlimited sums of money. Well, what's the easiest way to raise money? It's through rage and hate. And so you have this kind of perfect storm that's causing people just to be totally hateful against the other side or just to disconnect from it. And I think for social media companies, now they've seen the effects, and I do think they need to look at their algorithms from a public health standpoint.
You think Congress might act, given some of the things that we're talking about now with these kinds of events in our country?
It's possible. I mean, I've had those conversations and hearings with committees in Congress over the years, and I've found a particularly strong bipartisan appetite among younger members of Congress who really understand these technologies. The older members, I think, seem to be less familiar with, shall we say, how these technologies work. But at the same time, the most influential lobbies in Washington right now basically are the big tech companies. And so as long as you have a system of legalized bribery in Congress where lobbyists can give directly to members of Congress, I don't think we'll see the kind of change we need, even though there's actually a pretty decent consensus out there. Like I developed a position talking with a lot of experts during our U.S. Senate campaign related to social media. And basically the idea is that we want free speech. That's extremely important. And it's not right necessarily for these social media companies to be deciding who to censor and who not to censor. But at the same time, how the algorithms work is the expression of these social media companies' position essentially on issues. And to have more neutral algorithms as well as some basic consumer protections, I think is the way that you balance free speech with safety at the same time.
Always appreciate your wisdom. Let's continue the conversation down the line. Thanks for taking the time today.
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Stephen Olacara, smart guy and somebody who's got his finger on the pulse of what's ailing our country when it comes to all of the subjects we were talking about. Isolation is another piece of this that I could have talked with Stephen about, because that's also a big part, also identified by Professor Scott Galloway, who's probably one of the leading voices on the dangers of, especially with young men, isolation and what that does to their brain, their thought processes, and certainly fueling some of the hate I think we see in this country. Quick break here. You're listening to Point Taken, 620 WTMJ.
I think it's coming from over here.
No, I think I hear it over there.
Hold on. Here it is.
That's the Perry Sleeper, one of Penny Mustard's most popular sleeper sofas.
Yeah, and I think I know who's sleeping on it. Come on, Ben. Wake up.
Huh? What month is it?
You mean, what time is it?
No, what month? I'm hibernating.
You can't hibernate.
Well, I couldn't until I found the Perry Sleeper. Sure, it's classy and comfy as a sofa, but this pull-out sleeper is unbelievable.
5 extra inches of mattress.
And no painful bar in the middle of my back.
It just might be the perfect sleeper sofa.
Ugh, I'm going back to sleep. I set an alarm.
For what time?
April.
The Perry Sleeper, American-made with your choice of fabric or leather, and no metal bar digging into your back. Starting at $44.99 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
You're not just a job number as a Sidex customer.
They've been family-owned since 1988, and they treat you as part of their family. Upgrade and transform your current bathroom space with Sidex Windows Siding and Bath. They have seasoned design consultants with 10 to 30 years of experience. The owner, Joe, is honoring his dad's legacy with top-tier products and expert craftsmanship. It's Sidex, the best in the business. Get a free shower door upgrade when you mention WTMJ. Visit sidexremodel.com.
As the fall season sets in, I highly recommend dining at the historic Fox and Hound Supper Club near Holy Hill. Enjoy a free dinner. WTMJ's John Merck here with you. The drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest is spectacular. When you buy one dinner, your second dinner is free 7 nights a week. No coupons, no gimmicks. You're not going to find this free dinner offer anywhere else but my favorite place, the Fox and Hounds. Enjoy your favorite steak, seafood, roast duck, pasta, the steak and lobster even. Any entree, your second dinner is free. Best part, desserts are also buy one, get one free. That chocolate cake is amazing. Wine down with an old-fashioned. Choose from over 20 bourbons, 100 wines, 8 beautiful dining rooms. It's incredible. The Fox and Hounds, just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of Holy Hill. It's one of the most beautiful fall drives in Wisconsin. Wednesday, buy one prime rib dinner, get one free. Enjoy a quiet free dinner tonight, serving from 4 p.m. Tables are open. Fox and Hounds Restaurant.
Shop smarter with Higher Love Cannabis Company in Menominee, Michigan, just a few seconds across the Wisconsin border. Award-winning, organically grown, quality products you can trust. Don't settle for knockoffs in Wisconsin. Get the real deal at findhigherlove.com/CBD.
We get it. You're on the go, and life gets in the way. Stay up to date on all things WTMJ with podcasts of every show. Available on WTMJ.com. And don't forget you can stream WTMJ online and watch your favorite WTMJ shows on YouTube. Every show, when you want it, no matter where you are. We are Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio 620 WTMJ. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Thanks to my guest this hour, Matt Smith, Channel 12 Political Director, host of Upfront, and Stephen Olakar, who's a deep thinker, a guy who he really pays attention. He's super smart and sort of has his finger on the pulse, as I said before, of what the country's talking about when it comes to all the technology that's been unleashed. We didn't even get to AI and its impact on this story, because that's going to be a real problem. You're talking about, things online fueling acts of violence or hatred of a different type of people or kind of people, or whatever you perceive other people to be. AI has unleashed video content, which you can't probably tell what's real and what's not real, so that's a problem. We're going to explore all of that in the 11:35 slot when I talk about civility and common sense in the era of hate politics and hate radio and hate TV. And we're going to play that piece from Governor Spencer Cox. But after the break for news, Brian Jacobson, Chief Economist at Annex Wealth Management. There's a lot going on this week. Big week for the Fed and interest rates. We'll get to that and more after the news on 620 WTMJ.
All personal injury law firms essentially cost the same. When you receive a settlement or win a verdict, we take 1/3 as our fee. If you get nothing, we get nothing. But one law firm has recovered more million-dollar results than any other firm in Wisconsin. We have handled and won the largest cases in state history. And we cost the same as every other personal injury firm in town. Habish, Habish & Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. Visit habish.com for more information.
You have never been to an all-inclusive resort? Well, neither have I. Hi, it's WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi, and this winter, we're going to rectify that. My wife, Kathy, and I have teamed up with Fox World Travel to check another travel wish item off our list, and you are invited to join us. We'll be flying nonstop from Milwaukee to sunny Cancun and staying at the ultra-chic luxury resort Secrets the Vine. This adults-only all-inclusive resort offers unlimited luxury where so much is included. Best-in-class service, gourmet a la carte restaurants, top-shelf drinks, 24-hour room and concierge service, endless day and nighttime activities, and more. Come with us, soak up the sun on the beach or one of 3 sparkling infinity pools. Enjoy sommelier-led wine tasting or explore the Cancun area. You know my trips sell out fast, so if you want more information about the February festivities, contact a travel advisor at Fox by calling 866-GO-FOX-GO or their fabulous website, foxworldtravel.com.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, it feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Bring every detail of your world into clear focus with personalized eye care at Shopko Optical. Vince Vitrano here. The experienced and caring team of eye care professionals at Shopko provide comprehensive eye exams tailored to your unique vision needs. Need glasses, contacts, both? From expert care to the perfect prescription eyewear for your lifestyle. Get everything in one convenient visit. Call Shopko Optical or visit shopko.com to schedule your exam. Shopko Optical. Partners in your eye care.
We see you out there making the most of every moment, one big bright idea at a time. At Blaine's, we're glad to be part of it by offering best-in-class products and solutions at unbeatable farm and fleet prices. Right now, during our 70th anniversary sale, 50-pound bags of Diamond Crystal Softener Salt Crystals, $6.49. Rewards members save an extra $1. And 50-foot Yellow Jacket extension cords, half price, $24.99. Rewards members save an extra $5. Find value on the things you value. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Being original.
Stay up to date with your trusted and relevant source in news, sports, traffic, and weather. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
11 o'clock, we have 73 degrees, mostly sunny today with highs 76 lakeside up to 81 inland. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Decision, Wisconsin. Another Democrat has entered the race for governor.
State Senator Kelda Roys has announced her second run for governor of Wisconsin. Roys previously ran for governor in 2018, finishing third in the Democratic primary. Roys is now the fourth Democrat to enter the race following Governor Tony Evers' decision to retire after his current term. So far, there are two Republicans in the field, Washington County Executive Josh Showman and New Berlin businessman Bill Berrien. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
Several Wisconsin workers facing backlash over social media posts about the death of Charlie Kirk.
In Milwaukee, Nextdoor Childcare fired an employee who criticized Kirk's pro-gun views online. In Wausau, nonprofit leader Callie Wolk lost her positions after posting well-deserved with clapping emojis. A Laconia high school teacher is on leave for calling Kirk a racist and white nationalist. In Cudahy, the school district is investigating an employee over a social media post made outside school hours. And in Elkhorn, an associate principal was falsely accused after her photo was misused in a viral post. The district confirmed she had no role. Nazir Spencer, WTMJ News.
ABC's Matt Gutman says funeral services for Kirk now have been set.
The funeral and memorial for Charlie Kirk is now set for this coming Sunday at State Farm Stadium just outside Phoenix. That's where the Arizona Cardinals play. It's got a capacity of 70,000 people. And President Trump said that he will be there.
FBI Director Kash Patel says Kirk's alleged killer texted someone about his intention to take out the conservative activist. Patel said the suspect, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, sent the text before the shooting, and when asked why the person who received the text didn't say something, Patel says the investigation is ongoing. An Illinois congressman calling for video of a deadly shooting involving an ICE officer to be released. Jesus Chuy Garcia called the shooting totally preventable and tragic, said the public should know everything that happened. Federal authorities say agents were conducting a traffic stop when the suspect struck an officer with his vehicle. Trump administration officials say they've reached a framework of a deal with the Chinese on the ownership of TikTok. No details being announced, but U.S. officials say President Trump and Chinese President Xi will provide those details later this week in Spain, where the framework deal was negotiated. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer says the U.S. didn't get into any discussions about trade, especially on rare earth minerals.
The Chinese, just like they have for many years, they always raise export control, sanctions, tariff, the whole list. We've essentially deferred discussion of those kinds of things to another time. We were very focused on TikTok.
Congress passed a law that it would ban TikTok in the U.S. unless it was bought by an American company, but President Trump extended the deadline set in that law. It was set to expire this week. A community staple in Milwaukee's River West neighborhood will soon close its doors for good. River West Co-op and Cafe has weathered financial challenges through the COVID-19 pandemic and growing competition, but loans and donations weren't enough to keep the business afloat.
Sales, they grew, and then they plateaued, and that plateau is way below where we needed it to be.
Board member Wendy Messick tells our news partners TMJ4.
Beyond proud. It has been an amazing group of volunteers, from the cashiers and dishwashers to board members and committee members.
Last day of regular service at the store and cafe is Sunday. Milwaukee leaders using Suicide Prevention Month to highlight both prevention and postvention efforts. Dr. Sarah Kolbeck, Director of Suicide Research and Healing at the Medical College of Wisconsin, tells WTMJ.
We've developed a new training opportunity called Bridge to Hope that focuses on building connection among community members to help identify folks who might be at risk for suicide and then discover how to have important conversations with those folks to get them to the care that we need.
Kolbeck says for each person who dies by suicide, there are approximately 135 people affected. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow off 7 points. NASDAQ up 183. S&P 500 up 29. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth. Annex Private Client. Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time 11:05.
Gene Miller here for my friends at Hometown Windows and Doors. Unfortunately, it's not too early to start thinking about those upcoming heating bills. At Hometown's huge New Berlin showroom, you can compare energy-efficient windows from Anderson, Pella, Marvin, and more. Like me, you'll get a dedicated project consultant to guide you to the products that best fit your home, style, and budget, along with employee carpenters who respect your home. Do what I did. Contact Hometown Windows and Doors today. Hometown with an E for your every window and door need. 414-329-1200 or online at hometownwindows.com.
Experience, knowledge, and results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Hey, John Mercure here for Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living. It's kindness, it's compassion, it's very specialized training. Their mission is to transform the culture of care, and they're doing that every single day. I've been in their places. I've seen how they love and take care of people with cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, or other related dementia symptoms. In part at Azura, they do such a great job because their staff goes through specialized training. They're going to take great care of you. Locations throughout southeast Wisconsin, Wisconsin-based, family-owned. It's Azura.
All different types of injury lawyers advertise. Cartoon lawyers, bobblehead lawyers, and folks chasing ambulances with text messages. Our clients don't want or need such lawyers. Our clients know, like, and trust that Pasternak and Zergabel will help in their time of need. I'm Jeff Zergabel of Pasternak and Zergabel. Frank Pasternak and I are excellent personal injury lawyers in our community. If you need help after an injury, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com. That's injurywisconsin.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Playoff-bound Brewers lost the final game of their home series. Milwaukee fell 3-2 to the St. Louis Cardinals. Brewers have the night off before hosting the Los Angeles Angels on Tuesday. Wisconsin football team lost for the first time this season. Badgers falling 38-14 to the Alabama Crimson Tide on the road. Badgers will be back home Saturday to host Maryland to open Big Ten play. Badgers Sports Update sponsored by Siding Unlimited, Siding and a whole lot more. Take a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. I-41 south, about a third of a mile beyond the ramp from Greenfield. We do have a disabled vehicle. It is off left, blocking the shoulder. No other major slowdowns to report this hour. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny, warmer today, inland especially, with a high 76 lakeside up to 81 inland. Mostly clear tonight, low 63. Sunny tomorrow, high 77 to 83. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high 78. 77 on Thursday under sunny skies. And partly cloudy Friday with a high 72. 77 in Madison, 76 in Green Bay, 73 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristen Bry.
And good morning. Welcome to the 11 o'clock hour, Point Taken. Kristen will be back tomorrow. She's taking some time off. Did some traveling. We'll probably hear about that tomorrow. I always enjoy these conversations. As long as I'm on the radio, there's always going to be part of my Mondays because I want to start the week right and I want to know what's going on the sort of the finance, economy, the world that we live in when it affects the dollar and our interest rates. And who better to talk to than chief economist at Annex Wealth Management, super smart guy. A lot of smart people on the program today. Brian Jacobson, how are you, Brian?
Oh, fantastic. How are you?
Good. So I spent some time on Saturday listening to you and the CEO of Annex Wealth Management, Dave Spano, talk about this big decision. I believe it's Wednesday, the Fed.
Yep.
A potential, seems like it's probably going to happen, rate reduction. I guess let's start with that story because, okay, that's probably going to happen. They've been sort of teasing that news. They talk about a quarter points. Explain to people what that means and probably more importantly, what are they trying to accomplish?
Sure. So the Federal Reserve, they target something called the federal funds rate. It's basically this borrowing and lending rate between very large banks, and it's their overnight rate. So it might seem like, well, how does that actually affect me and my portfolio or my finances? And the reason it does is when they try to cut that rate, so if they're going to reduce it, they are providing more funds into the financial system basically to expand the availability and lower the cost of credit generally. Now, there's a very loose link between what the Fed does and like mortgage rates or car loan rates, but there is some link there. So they have a lot of power.
Describe why it's loose, Brian.
Well, it's a very loose one because they directly affect this overnight rate. But all of these other ones, it's almost like they kind of do it indirectly by providing more financial capital or basically more what are called reserves to banks that they can then lend out. It might be like, well, we have all these reserves. Let's try to lower our rates to get people to borrow the money. But it all depends upon how do the banks behave and how do borrowers behave? How do they want, do they want to borrow or not? So it's all these different linkages between them. And that's one of the things that we've really noticed. Last year, when they started cutting their target interest rate, we saw those longer term interest rates, mortgage rates, treasury yields, those actually went up instead of down. So it was somewhat counterintuitive for a lot of people. This time, it's probably, my best guess is conditions are very different today than what they were back then. And we might see, especially those mortgage rates, begin to inch a little bit lower, which I think could provide a lot of people some happiness as we go into the fourth quarter here.
An obvious question, I think you and Dave even alluded to this. Why a quarter point now and then maybe a quarter point next month versus just doing a half point now?
Yeah, part of it is just signaling in terms of they don't want to convey that they're panicking, that they're doing some sort of like, oh, things are falling off the cliff, and so we have to do a big move. For many, many years, like basically from like the 1950s until the 2000, they would sometimes make big moves, small moves, somewhat it looked a little random. But then really beginning in 2004, for some reason, they decided that they were going to take this almost like kind of slow and steady approach to trying to change rates. So that way they wouldn't contribute to market volatility. They would hope that what they were intending on doing wouldn't be misconstrued as being panicking or anything like that. And I think that's the biggest reason is that they would rather say, hey, we're going to start 25 basis points. And then when we meet again in October, then they have the option and high likelihood of being able to cut again. And so instead of trying to do 50, so 0.5 percentage points all at once, they might basically just try to smooth that out over two meetings instead of trying to cram it all into one.
Brian Jacobson, Chief Economist at Annex Wealth Management, and great resources, annexwealth.com. You can find all of the great information, and you can start your journey. Just click on the Get Started button. It's how I got involved with Annex in the first place and never looked back. Another thing that you and Dave talked about recently, I just watched a video on it this morning from Annex at annexwealth.com. Sort of a reconfiguration, reexamination of what the jobs looked like. I think the term you used was a benchmark revision. Mm-hmm. April 2024 through March 2025. Correct me if I'm wrong. 900,000 less jobs?
Yeah, yep, 911,000. Now, this is preliminary. So when they get to December, then they will have basically a final number for it. So this is their first best guess about changing the guesses that they've been making all along so far. Every month when they do their surveys, it's a sample. So it's not every single business out there. It's not every single household. And these benchmark revisions, what they do is every quarter, they get from every single company that contributes to unemployment insurance. They get a survey, or basically a complete census of these businesses about how many people did you have, what was their compensation. So it comes out with a lag. And as a result, they looked back and saw, oh gosh, from April 2024 until March of 2025, they had overguessed by about 911,000 how many people were on payrolls. Now that sounds like a big number because, well, it is, but within the context of, you have like 155 million people in the United States that are on payrolls. As a percentage, it's like, 0.6 to 0.7%. So not quite as dramatic when you put it in percentage terms. But yeah, that was a pretty big miss.
If we're on the edge of a recession last year, where are we at now, would you say?
Maybe we're at the tail end of it. I think that's one way to think about it. The labor market is something that's oftentimes called a lagging economic indicator, meaning that when you're looking at market or at economic activity, there are certain indicators that are forward-looking, leading indicators, coincident, and lagging. And oftentimes when you go into a recession, businesses, they're hesitant to let people go. And when things begin to improve, they sometimes are a little cautious in hiring. And so that can cause this lag relationship between the labor market and broader economic activity. So if we had like a mini recession at the tail end of 2024 there, or actually I guess it would be spring through summer of 2024, so kind of beginning and middle, and then after the election, you saw a lot more small businesses beginning to form, people expanding payrolls, getting a little excited about tax reform, deregulation, and all that, and then suddenly hit an air pocket in the first quarter. Maybe it is just an air pocket, and we can get a little bit firmer foundation to see some economic activity improve as we go into the fourth quarter. And hopefully the labor market will be quick to follow along with that activity.
Some light ahead. We'll take a quick break here. Brian Jacobson, Chief Economist at Annex Wealth Management, annexwealth.com, a great place to get started to seek their wisdom on all things finances and financial planning. After the break, China's buying less, impact of tariffs. Where's that story going? We'll discuss with Brian after this on Point Taken on 620 WTMJ.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano talking with Dr. Mike Nolte at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Doc, a lot of people are hesitant to visit a surgeon for spine care.
The good news is that the vast majority of patients that I see and the majority of conditions that I can see can be successfully treated without surgery. And I don't want patients to think that just because you're seeing a spine surgeon means that you're going to be signing up for surgery. We talk about in my clinic kind of a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C.
Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference. orthowisconsin.com.
Update and beautify your home with Sherwin-Williams pre-finished siding from Menards. LP SmartSide siding is durable and comes ready to install. Available in 13 timeless colors, it's machine applied for a professional look and coverage. That means no painting and no hassle for years to come. Save big money on all Sherwin-Williams pre-finished siding now at Menards. Plus, view our weekly flyer for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey, John Mercure here for Certa Pro Painters. They painted our house, the outside of the house, fantastic. They did the parts in the sun, the parts in the shade, the parts on the north side, the parts on the south side. They paid attention to detail the whole way. They went the extra mile all day long. Schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C for your home or your business. They do both. They pay a lot of attention. They took a lot of time with our house, and it looks absolutely perfect. Each Certa Pro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They're the real deal. They're the best in the business. It's Certa Pro Painters.
Be our eyes on the road. See something out there that I should know about?
Hi, Debbie. I just thought I'd let you know eastbound 94 has what looks like a pretty bad accident.
Call me, Debbie Lazaga, on the WTMJ traffic tip line, 414-238-9329.
Hi, Deb. It's Mark. 894 West. It's a parking lot.
The drive affects you. Why not be part of it?
Westbound 94, just west of 27th Street, two-car crash.
Give me a call, 414-238-9329.
Oh, you hear that sound on Saturday mornings. You hear it on Mondays because we're talking to Brian Jacobson, Chief Economist at Annex Wealth Management, annexwealth.com. A great place to get started when you're looking to the future for your financial planning, and lots of things they do there, and I've taken advantage of almost all of them. Brian, so I saw this headline this morning. China's buying less soybeans from our country, and this is something that I've been doing a lot of research on the farmers' side of the story when it comes to tariff impact and decisions made by our government in relation to other countries. Sort of almost a Chinese boycott of U.S. soybean growers. I guess just the first part is that's a conscious decision by China, but it has impact and it has hurt on one sector of our economy here. Is this an example of what the tariffs can actually do to the individual farmers in our country?
Yeah, this is one of the things that can oftentimes happen when there are tariffs and a trade war. There is the collateral damage, and farmers are oftentimes really the ones who bear the brunt of it, at least initially. Over time, it can spread. It's very strategic as far as how it is that countries retaliate. And if you think about soybeans, in Wisconsin, a good chunk of what is produced on farms for soybeans are exported to Mexico, Canada, or China, or at least that used to be the case. You know, soybean prices are down about 40% from a year ago. I think that their exports to China are down about 18% year over year. That's a huge move. Now, some of this is really a residual or leftover from the first Trump administration and then also the Biden administration, where China started to actually import more from Brazil instead of from the United States. And so it's become a lot easier for them to kind of quickly tighten the screws on some rather politically important and economically significant parts of the economy through this type of behavior.
Do you think that I think the term that somebody used was this is sort of a reset on American trade, import, export, all that stuff, and that sometimes those resets can work out to our favor in the long term? Do you see it that way?
Well, no, I view it as there's a transition cost, but we're always in transition, right? So it's like, okay, in theory, maybe it can bring, kind of reorient things, rebalance things, but things are always out of balance and being pushed into a different type of imbalance. And I think that really what we saw during the first Trump administration with the trade war, farmers ended up being compensated after the fact, right? So they had to bear the brunt of it, and then they eventually got a bailout. And so it was pretty costly in terms of the total economic cost of that first trade war. And it's really hard to figure out what is the actual gain. We are beginning to see some of these commitments to invest in the United States. I think coupling the tariffs with some tax incentives, to me, that's a little bit better than if you're just doing, say, tariffs, which just increase the cost. But now let's lower the relative cost of building in the United States. So don't just raise the cost of building outside of the United States or manufacturing there. Lower the cost here. And part of that is tax policy, but then also a bigger part, which I'm looking forward to see what happens over the next few years, is more on the regulatory side of things as well.
Brian Jacobson joining us from Annex Wealth Management. I know your team at Annex has spent a lot of time looking at the big, beautiful bill. In your opinion, Brian, as a chief economist, what is the biggest impact for the individuals, not businesses, and not the economy in general, but the individual person who's looking ahead at financial planning? What's the biggest impact, you think, from that big, beautiful bill?
Sure. Well, in terms of the biggest impact is probably just a little bit more stability, a little bit more predictability, which makes it easier to do the planning. So to engage in that longer term financial planning as opposed to worrying about, is the tax code as we know it going to be changing as of the end of the year? And so people who want to engage in estate planning, I think it's very helpful there. But then even for just about any individual, the brackets that you have, we know what those are. We know what the rates are going to be. There's some enhancements to the credits and the deductions that people can get. And there's also been some changes, some, let's say on the charitable side of things for people who are itemizing deductions. There's this 0.5% of modified adjusted gross income, this hurdle you have to clear. So there are a few costs, but in general, I think it's that clarity. And with clarity can come more confidence. And if you have that type of confidence, that can lead to better, stronger, longer-term economic activity.
Brian Jacobson, Chief Economist, Annex Wealth Management. We've done some webinars together. We've done Instant Insights. Always a great resource. Thanks for sharing your time and wisdom, Brian.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll wrap up the first half hour of the 11 o'clock hour on Point Taken, 620 WTMJ. Kristen's off today, final day of her vacation. She'll be back tomorrow. We haven't even started thinking about what we're going to talk tomorrow, but I'm going to sort of tee up the next half hour because I think it's really, really important that we have this conversation given what I've seen and witnessed in the last almost a week in this country and in our community. We'll get to that after this on 620 WTMJ. Loyalty, family. Few things are more important. This is WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi and Loyal Family Renovations. They saved the day after a brutal storm in Oak Creek. Hail damage, yeah, I had a lot of it. But Jeff, Jake, and the whole team, absolute pros, made the entire process smooth as can be. Let's be honest, not everyone knows how to deal with adjusters. They handled all the questions, quick answers, top-notch customer service. In just 2 days, my roof was done. If storm damage hits, call the team that made it easy for me. Loyal Family Renovations. Visit loyalfamilyrenovations.com.
Imagine that unbelievable new deck in your backyard. Outdoor Living Unlimited is Wisconsin's #1 TimberTech deck builder. Building new decks and replacing old ones, creating that $1 million feeling every time you relax in your own backyard. Looking for a company to make your backyard scream wow? Stop by Outdoor Living Unlimited's resourceful Waukesha showroom and visit OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
I know why you continue to live in pain. It's because you don't believe anything can be done to help. Maybe you bought into something and you've been burned before. I mean, your skepticism. It's understandable. This is Rejuvenex founder Richard Salinas. And here we use powerful, anti-inflammatory, and cushioning pharmacological medicines to ease your pain. They're FDA approved and most medical insurance is going to pay for our treatments, including Medicare and Medicaid. And that's the litmus test. Because if insurance has shown to cover the cost of many of our patients' treatments, you can be sure it's valid medicine. It's not a biological treatment considered experimental or some new gimmick that's trying to hook you. The Rejuvenex approach to pain relief is legitimate. It helps to alleviate pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. And from what we've seen, it gives people a new lease on their lives.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Call today, and there's a good chance we'll see you tomorrow.
There's no better place to catch the natural wonders of fall than Lake Geneva. Stroll a lakeshore path in a kaleidoscope of color. Explore winding rustic roads. Take a scenic boat tour or glide through a forest on a zip line. At night, stargaze from a historic observatory, cozy up to a campfire, or have a cocktail on the patio. Enjoy the seasonal bounty at orchards, wineries, and farms with flavors to savor. Plan your fall getaway now at visitlakegeneva.com. Lake Geneva. It's always been the place for fall fun.
What's on Tap with Sandy Max, keeping you updated on culture and creativity.
The Wisconsin Film Office. We could say it out loud. It's going to happen. Academy Award winner John Ridley.
So I'm glad that Wisconsin is getting in the game. I hope they stay in the game. Wisconsin is great because it has so many different looks. It has so many different places. It has places that are untouched. It has places that are incredibly modern.
What's on Tap with Sandy Max, weeknights at 6 on WTMJ.
Thanks for going along on the ride this morning. These shows are never easy to do. I think people think you just get on and turn the mic on and you go, but there's a lot that goes into it, and the planning and the things you have to read and the people you have to talk to and the scheduling. There's a lot to it, and I always am thankful to producer Jazz. She does a fantastic job on sort of handling all that stuff and doing it at a high level of grace and workmanship. So I appreciate that. Kristen will be back tomorrow. She's off. She's been on vacation for the last week. I'm going to approach the next half hour in sort of a different way. I've had guests on for the first 3 half hours. And I always have show notes, and it's different when Kristen's here because we both have show notes, but I did it myself today, obviously. And my sort of, just give you a little inside baseball, I generally have a header that tells me where my half hour is going, or sometimes a segment is going. And my comment to myself was thoughts on civility, common sense in the era of hate politics. And that's not just me saying that. We're in an era of hate politics. We've been for a while. A lot of reasons for that. Extreme politics on both sides of the aisle. And yes, I'm saying both sides of the aisle, not one side or the other, because to me, there is no distinction. You can argue that, you can parse that if you want to, but I don't really care about that. I'm going to play for you in the next half hour some comments I thought were really on point, and it's not surprising because I've heard him speak before, and that's the Utah Governor, Spencer Cox, who has been really, really instrumental in bringing forward an example of an elected official who's suffered a tragedy in his community, in this case, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and is trying as best he can, it's never easy, having lived through a mass shooting in my community when I was mayor, to do it. And I think he's been a shining star in this and doing, I think, a very, very good job in explaining what's happening as much as you can when it's, there's moving pieces and it's a fluid story. But I liked his comments on the connection between social media and violence. I'm actually recording a podcast this afternoon about that as well. And I'll just tee it up with this, and you can certainly comment during the news break at the bottom with Connie Weber and ABC. 855-616-1620 is the Siding Unlimited WTMJ Talk and Text line. There's a problem in this country. Now, you may not realize it. You may not recognize it. Maybe you may be a part of it, not even realize it. But what I noticed from social media directly after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that horrific event that should never happen in a country like ours, but it does. And unfortunately, it did happen, is that social media sort of takes over. And I saw comments from people I haven't seen on Facebook or Twitter in a long time, sort of giving their thoughts on, what they see or what they think. I would say think was de-emphasized in many of the comments and posts I saw, which is tragic and sad. But think long and hard about your activity on social media, and we're going to explore that, the lack of common sense, the lack of hitting the pause on your response and reaction to the events of last week. Because I think a lot of people forgot that message and why that's important. So we'll explore that in detail in the next half hour, and we'll play the audio from Utah Governor Spencer Cox, who I think was brilliant on his analysis of what the problem is. And I do agree with the governor. This is where the problem lies. I've said it for years. And I've had to sort of reshape my connection to social media. It's part of the job and what I do, but it is time to step up here. And I'll talk about that after the latest from Connie Weber, and now the latest from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says after talks with a Chinese delegation, there is a framework to switch to a U.S. Charlie Cook last week at Utah Valley University.
The Cook speaker, you just got shot in the head.
Time 11:31. I'm Connie Weber. A decision: Wisconsin State Senator Kelda Royce has announced her campaign for governor. Royce is the fourth Democrat to enter the race following Governor Tony Evers' decision to retire after his current term. First gubernatorial election since 2010 that hasn't featured an incumbent. Royce ran for governor in 2018, finishing third in the Democratic primary. So far, two Republicans in the race: Washington County Executive Josh Showman and New Berlin businessman Bill Berrien. Milwaukee area saw a slight drop in home sales last month. According to the Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors, there were just over 1,600 homes sold in August, down 0.3% compared to last year. Home prices increased almost 6% as the average home sold. Full Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We have a new crash. It is off left. They got it out of the lane. This is going to be I-41 north at I-43. Disabled vehicle off right. I-94 east, about a mile and a quarter beyond the ramp from Moreland Road. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny and warmer today. High 76, Lakeside 81, inland overnight low 63. Even warmer tomorrow with highs 77 to 83 inland. Sunshine also on Wednesday. High 78, sunny Thursday, high 77, and partly cloudy Friday with a high of 72. 77 in Madison, 76 in Green Bay, 73 degrees in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:33.
Gene Miller here for my friends at Hometown Windows and Doors. Unfortunately, it's not too early to start thinking about those upcoming heating bills. At Hometown's huge New Berlin showroom, you can compare energy efficiency.
Just to be silently good. Big Fish Contracting, we say renovating homes, redeeming an industry.
It's so much more than just, okay, we're replacing your roof.
We're not only educating homeowners, but we're getting to know them and allowing them an opportunity to get to know us. I mean, there's just such beauty in it, you know? If anyone is considering reaching out to us,
or you can check us out on our website, bigfishcontracting.com.
Hi, this is Julie Coombs.
And Cindy Storm Fisher with Storm Fisher Investment Group.
Are you a retiring professional worried about the direction of our economy, about making your money last?
Come see what we can do for you. Let us show you how we take care of you to help you have a great retirement.
We are at 262-796-8400 or stormfisher.com. See you soon.
Securities offered through Osaic Wealth Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Osaic Advisory Services LLC. Osaic Advisory. Osaic Wealth and Osaic Advisory are separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, and services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth and Osaic Advisory.
When I shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, every time I come in, it's like a whole new store. It's because new inventory is arriving daily, all kinds of everything. And let me tell you, thrift store prices make buying easy, and helping others at the same time, that's icing on the cake. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Winding it up to noon as we wind down the Point Taken program. Chris will be back tomorrow. She's been on vacation. So I thought long and hard about how I wanted to end the show today, and I this is something that some people are going to be mad no matter what I say. So I acknowledge that, and that's sort of the world we live in now. You know, people have this hatred for something they believe I stand for, or what the station even stands for. I think I can tell you what the station stands for: getting it right, using fact-based journalism, the highest level, with a mixture of some talk as well. And certainly, that's what I do. I'm not a journalist. And we sort of confuse that role among, especially in radio. It's very common that people pretend they're journalists, not TV as well, and they're actually not that. They're more entertainers, and if you consider spewing political hate entertainment. So I've got some thoughts on that, but I want to play for you. This is the comments from Meet the Press. Kristen Welker, the host of Meet the Press on NBC, interviewed Utah Governor Spencer Cox. And listen to the words, because I'm going to comment on what he said. But I think this nails it on one piece of this that I think we need to start paying a lot closer attention to.
Well, Governor, you referred to social media as a cancer on Friday. That's an incredibly strong word. Do you believe that social media played a direct role in this assassination?
I believe that social media has played a direct role in every single assassination and assassination attempt that we have seen over the last 5-6 years. There is no question in my mind that cancer probably isn't a strong enough word. What we have done, especially to our kids, it took us a decade to realize how evil these algorithms are, and we're doing everything in Utah. First state in the nation a couple years ago to pass comprehensive reform. Sadly, these most powerful companies on earth are suing us to prevent us from implementing these things.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox, he hit on something that's, I think, it's really important, and that's social media. So after this assassination of Charlie Kirk last week in Utah, I spent a little bit of time looking, not commenting specifically, just looking at what was going on. And you saw a degradation of the platforms, not that they're at any high standard before this, but people commenting about Charlie Kirk, parties, presidents, people who support Charlie Kirk. And I'll remind people who didn't like Charlie Kirk's messaging. Everyone has a right to say basically anything they want in this country, up to threatening someone else with violence. The words themselves are not violent. The act, a description of a violent act certainly meets that standard, and that's different. That's not what I'm talking about. Left and right, people teeing off on each other, people who never post, all of a sudden posting, this sort of 10 commandments of what they think the story is about. I'm not trying to be offensive to you, but nobody needs that. I compliment people when I say thanks for sharing your wisdom. No one needs your lack of wisdom. No one needs your lack of intelligence. And frankly, almost uniquely, Facebook is the last place in the world to be posting about politics, yet people still do it. Maybe it's because that's where they're comfortable. Maybe that's the only platform they're on as far as social media. I don't know, and I don't care. We see attacks on individuals, often that are made up now. There's an Elkhorn individual in Elkhorn in the school district who was targeted by somebody. None of it fact-based, but they basically calling for the firing of someone who did nothing wrong. Catches fire. People start jumping in. Radio's not immune to that. People making comments they shouldn't make based on lack of knowledge. And I understand we have an instant gratification country now where you have to find out right away. You think you know. You saw it on TV. You heard it on blah, blah, blah station or show. It's not productive to keep going on this path. And I'm recording a podcast this afternoon. I'm going to say that on the podcast. This is stupid. The power of social media has been allowed to go unchecked. And it's connected to one's access to one's phone primarily, especially with young people. Here's where I'm going. I saw a story over the weekend. New York banned phones in schools. That is a hell of a smart decision. 17 states have that. Why isn't Wisconsin one of those states? Why wait? If you're a parent, ask them to do this. Every time we allow young people to be impacted by this stuff, whether it's bullying online, cyberbullying, whether it's attacks on platforms, making videos, AI generated, sharing videos that had no person never had an intention that they be public. All of that stuff is happening because we're allowing it. And what do we know about social media companies? They're not doing anything about it. They're not controlling this. The images of Charlie Kirk's assassination were available instantly. I thank God I didn't have to watch that. I removed myself from that. I didn't think it was helpful that I see someone be killed in a video. I know what death looks like. I've seen images I can't unsee. But you're exposing our young people to this stuff, and it doesn't have to be the case. I would urge legislators in Wisconsin to go after a ban in schools of smartphones or phones in general as soon as possible. You're destroying a generation of young people with this. What, because you want to be able to post what you want and make funny videos and do your TikTok dances and all that BS? I don't care about content creators. Most of them are stupid. Most people don't need to know your wisdom, or lack of wisdom, I should say, on any of these subjects. But I also understand there's freedom of speech, to a degree. But what would you rather have? That freedom? Or just destroying generations with access to freedom that maybe they haven't processed yet, haven't figured out yet, don't understand the implications of their actions because they're not adults yet. When I see 10-year-olds walking around with smartphones, I do question the parents. Everyone has a role here, and the governor of Utah mentioned it, from the president on down. It's not necessarily about the leaders, and you can keep sending me texts about, we got a leader we don't like. I don't care. What are you doing about it? How are you fixing this? It's smart. It starts at home. Know what your kids do. Get them off the internets. Get them off these platforms. This is absolutely insane when you know what the problem is, and I think I know, that you keep doing the same thing. Definition of insanity. Education has a role to play here. Faith has a role to play here. Leadership has a role to play here. Parents have a role to play here. And right now, in just that piece of this, the individual piece or family piece, we are failing miserably. Priorities way out of whack. Consumed by, I don't know, desire to be famous because you saw it on a reality TV show. Who the cares? Stop emulating idiots. What, because you're entertained by it? So then we have to encourage it? Why do you think the networks are filled with all this nonsense? Because you're consuming it as an individual or as a family. I don't care what you think is funny. This story is not funny. And anybody who's pushing this nonsense, any platform, any person who continues to make this about hate and not fixing that is part of the problem, whether they do it on a post, whether they do it on a radio station, or whether they do it on TV. We should be embarrassed by our lack of understanding of what is ailing us as a country, and frankly, it's just getting worse. I have some text responses. I'll read those after the break, 855-616-1620. We have to do better.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments. Behind the Bucks is Bucks history, like you've never heard it before. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus Audio Network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi, Milwaukee Weight Loss. I love the fact that I can tell you about my journey. Start of the year, pretty heavy. I was over 250 pounds, and I decided to do something about it. I lost the weight, 43, 44 pounds as of right now. Going to go up to 50 by the end of the year. And that's part of the process. You do a reduction phase, you do a maintenance phase, which I've done for about 6 months now, and you figure yourself out. You figure out what your metabolism is, and you figure out how to eat properly and correctly, and that is part of their story. You do it without all the drugs, all the gimmicky stuff. It's just real results that work for most people, and I'm talking thousands of people lose 10 and 20% of their body weights in just 8 weeks and keep it off. Many patients lose 20 or 30 pounds. It's the answer to yo-yo dieting and all the crazy stuff. Smarter, faster, safer way to reach your goals and do it the right way with MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. They have great coaches and a great program. You should be part of that. Call today, 262-393-2334. That's 262-393-2334. No obligation consultation. Ask them about this, MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
Wholesale mulch? No problem. We deliver to residential or wholesale accounts, and we can supply you with whatever volume of the highest quality mulch you need. Nobody around here has more mulch than Erickson's. We'll deliver you a 1-yard pickup truck load all the way up to 100 yards in a walking floor trailer. And if you just need a little bit, swing by and we'll fill up a 5-gallon bucket or two. It's the best mulch you'll find. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential. Visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Our decorative stone is available by the handful for pickup, all the way up to 24-ton load deliveries. And our stone is superlative. We scour the countryside, countrywide, from Arizona to the Carolinas. We search pretty much the whole U.S. of A. to find you easily the best stone selection in southeastern Wisconsin. See a rainbow of decorative stone colors to match any exterior decor. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Gruber Law Office. One call, that's all.
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 Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
One call, that's all.
Lots of people asking me on this conversation about smartphones that aren't very smart. You should call them hate phones. That's what most people use them for nowadays. Contact your leaders. If you're a Democrat, Hasselbein, Dora Drake, who was on the program not too long ago, LaTanya Johnson, Kelda Royce, who just announced her candidacy for governor, Tim Carpenter, Chris Larson, if you're here in Milwaukee. Other side, Robin Voss, Emma Lemahieu, your elected representative, if they're a Republican. Start with banning them in schools. And the way it works in New York is kids have this little pouch. They put it in the morning. They take it out at the end of the day. Fine. Parents have to pay $30. Hell, if we have to take some of our surplus and buy the things for, you know what? Maybe that's what we got to do. Maybe that takes away that argument. Oh, parents, another cost of being a parent. Yeah, whatever. But at some point here, we have to figure this out. And we are literally doing nothing. That's the frustration from my perspective. And if you're a communicator of any fashion, whether it's elected leader, radio, TV, whatever, and you're preaching more hate, you're a part of the problem as well. Sorry, but you are. So whatever your form of communication is, email, letter, text if you have their phone number, start doing it now. They should be banned in schools. And it can't be willy-nilly. I know a school district where the middle school can't have phones and the high school can. What, because they're adults already? No, they're not. School boards, be more consistent. School boards, start understanding that it's not about this fancy new curriculum of the week or month or year. It's about actually doing things on the safety side. And part of safety is bullying, recruiting a bunch of young people to be the next providers of hate content in our country, because that's sort of what it is. And then a message for adults as I sort of wrap this. In my 66 plus years of life, I don't know if I've ever seen adults on social media act more childlike, ignorant. My wife doesn't like when I say this, stupid, than I've seen in the last week. I understand people are frustrated. Yeah, that's why we see these acts. And cheerleading for more hate, I think it's just dangerous, but also stupid. I would ask you why you think that's the answer. Why you think we all need to see your post or your video on why you think so-and-so is evil, why you think such and such party is bad, why this president. We have elections. When you win elections, you get to do things. And given the closeness of our elections nationally, probably half the country is not necessarily going to like the things that the president or Congress does. And I would suggest to you that when you think about these big picture questions of electing people, that you put some thought into that next time, so that if you don't like the president or the administration, then you do something about it in the next election, because that's how it works in this country. I'm not saying you have to like the other party, but you should not wish for them to be killed in the act of saying things you don't like. Sorry, that's my opinion. Parents play a role, government plays a role, we play a role. It's time for parents to be parents again. It's time for school districts to teach our kids again. You filled them with lots of nonsense and sort of this quest to be all-inclusive and to have this enriching environment with all these different options. How is that working out? Our kids are dumber. Not because they're bad kids, because you haven't done your job. You failed them. I don't care about Republicans and Democrats. Those parties fail us every day. I care about saving lives, having better lives. And for those who think I lecture too much, well, you got a half hour of a lecture. Sorry. Sometimes things have to be said. That's my take. Quick break.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, Accurate Basement Repair. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. And at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ. Steve Scaffidi for Advent Snoring, Tossing, and Turning Restless Nights to Sleep. That does not have to be a reality. It's no longer mine because I did something about it. I took action. I went to Advent, 30-minute visit. Asked my questions. They gave me answers that made sense. We did a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed. They determined my problem, sinuses and nasal passage in my breathing triangle. They fixed it for me in a very short procedure. Bottom line is, I sleep better. I wake up rested and refreshed. If you struggle like I used to Take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com and schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
That big online store has special days with ridiculously low prices. So why don't you?
We do.
You do? When?
Every day. Our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next day delivery, too.
Wow.
Yeah. Plus, through Monday, get a free box spring or take an equal amount off an adjustable base.
I guess you could say that now is a prime time to buy.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing